Okay, so today we have two very special guests at the library. So this is Lee. He is with the Dallas Paleo Society. And over here we have Fossil Bob. They are here today to tell you about and celebrate a park that we have in Mineral Wells. So we are going to be a very respectful audience. Let's stay sitting down, stay behind this line. There will be times during the program where you can ask questions, so remember just to raise your hand and wait quietly until they call on you. All right, can you give them a round of applause?
Oh, what a great group. Y'all are really lucky to have the Mineral Wells Fossil Park right next door. How many have been there? Anybody collected fossils there? Yes, good. Well, if you haven't been, you want to go because it's a lot of fun, isn't it? The man who helped begin and develop that park convinced the city to not sell the land and turn it into a park. Lee Hickenbottom. I'm going to have him tell you a little bit about the fossil park before we talk about the fossils.
Thank you, Bob. The park that y'all have now is a city-owned park owned by the city of Mineral Wells, so y'all city. And they helped with Dallas Paleo to make this park happen. It's free, you can find fossils. This is very special. There's very few places in the country that are public that you can go and collect your own fossils. But you have it here in Mineral Wells. So if you can get your mom, your grandma, your dad, your uncle, aunt, take you out that way, and go in the morning when it's cool, and if you bend over anywhere, you will find fossils. We have some tubs here that will open in a little while that is dirt that comes from Mineral Wells Fossil Park. You don't have to have fancy tools or anything, you just have to be there and bending over and finding them and then collecting them. I use this, it's like a nail apron because it's easy to put them in and I can go find some more. So that's the park. The way the park happened is there's some other paleontologists or avocational paleontologists, and what that means is people that are not scientists, but they're people that like things. So like we like fossils. I like fossils. I'm not trained in it, but because I like it, there's people like me that go out and help find locations and do field trips. Mike is on his way to a field trip on a bus to go to Waco and stuff tomorrow because a bunch of people are curious about that. So they'll go look at fossils there in different locations and whatnot. But someone else has found this location for the fossils, and they are like, shh, tell everyone where it is. And then they would whisper it to Bob or maybe whisper it to Mike and tell people. It wasn't out there for the whole public to know. And so you would find fossils. I came out here trying to find it with my two little boys. Saying, let's go find it. Somewhere where the old landfill was, which I didn't know where that was. And we got lucky and we found it. We found fossils and it was a lovely day for us. That said, we all have different gifts. I do real estate, I like fossils, I like my children, different things. But because of that, I like the fossils here. And I like Mineral Wells because I like the Lake Mineral Wells State Park. So I had come out here a time or two, and then I helped someone sell a piece of real estate out here too. But I had different gifts, different things that I might be good at. Those were things that helped make the park happen because I had certain skills, but so did other people. If the Farishes had not found this location, if the city of Mineral Wells had not been approached, the park wouldn't have happened, but it's just a lovely place. But Bob's got fossils here that we'll show you for just so that you know, and we'll pass these around, but there's a lot, these don't look like it so much, but there's so many different fossils that you can find there. And what happens is you get to keep those yourself because it's a free city park.
Those are pop rocks.
Pop rocks, there's different names for things too. Pop rocks are one of them. Indian beads, I think, is another name. Crinoid stems is another. Bob will give you other fancier names. But just saying, you have a park that if you go there and you just look, you will find wonderful fossils that are 300 million years old, which is older than me and Bob combined. So it's just, before it was a park, it was what's called a landfill borrow pit. And what that means is when you make trash, some people burn it, some people put it in a hole, but the way that this was is there was a pile of place where you put trash, and if it was going to blow away, that's not good. So they had a borrow pit next to it where they dug dirt out, put it on top of the trash. And that's kind of how a landfill is made. And eventually the hill gets high enough, say enough already. Well, the city of Mineral Wells had quit doing landfill here and had someone else do it, so this land was just vacant. And as it eroded, the fossils showed up because they were in the dirt. And they're still there, and every time it rains, more fossils show up. Every time the wind blows too much, more fossils show up. It's a great, great, great park. When the city was going to do this, they had an insurance man come out to see if they could make the park happen. He's like, well, I have to come back one more time. I have to bring my kid or my grandkid. You know, because he realized that it was just a wonderful place. So I just, again, encourage y'all to know it's a wonderful place. So Bob, that's, I mean, a couple of the things just to say, if ever you're in Glenrose, you've got dinosaurs that are on exhibit there that are just big old fiberglass deals, but they were in the 1964 World's Fair. And I, as a little kid, got to go there. Whether that helped spark my interest in fossils, I don't know. But just saying, different things spark your interest. And one thing that fossils do is sparks your interest in science. So that if you end up going, fossils are cool, you may say, this is cool, but I don't want to hunt for fossils. And then you may learn that there's some other thing that is more interesting to you that's related to fossils, related to science. So, yeah. Now pass it on to Bob.
You done?
I think so.
Any
I can
questions
go on and on and
about
on.
the park for Mr. Higginbottom? Yes.
Where is it?
If you go out here to Highway 180, go west. As you go through town, past the Baker Hotel, and the road starts to curve toward the Brazos River. Before you get to the Brazos River, you take a right. You go north on Indian Springs Road. There's a church there, there's a cemetery, there's a gun club, then there's the park. When I've been there, there have been buses showing up from Houston, from the University of Houston. I was just there. 2 buses pull up. All these geology students come out because they know that it's a special place. We have brought kids from Dallas, which is an hour and a half from here, to come to this park to find fossils. It's a wonderful place. Good question. Any other questions?
Does it have a destination on Google Maps?
If you type in Mineral Wells Fossil Park, you can find it. If there's a sign now, Mike told me about it, there's a new city sign as you go west at a time. It'll say Mineral Wells Fossil Park, turn here. And it's all searchable, it's all findable. But basically what it is there's a big parking lot, there's a porta potty, and there's some informational signs, and it'll say, like this, and it'll say, these are the kind of fossils that you can find here. And all the fossils are real smart, so they're easy to take home, easy to clean, and easy to enjoy. And one thing I tell kids about is when you see fossils, kind of like fingers, don't tell me how they're the same, tell me how they're different. Because what happens, just like your fingers, this finger is good for having tea with the queen, or this finger you can point with, and other fingers are good for wearing rings, I guess. But it's just like the fingers are all different. Just tell me how they're different. Don't tell me how they're the same. Anyone can figure that out. You know, use your brain and tell me how they're different. Yes, ma'am.
How long of a drive have you gotten students from?
For me to come here is an hour and a half for my house.
Oh, you mean for you to get to the park?
For here, 10 minutes, maybe 15 at this. If you drive really slow, it'd be 15 minutes. But I would say about 10 minutes. So if you go back up here to the stoplight, take a left, go past downtown in the Baker Hotel, you can stay on that road, which is called 180 West.
Got another question down here.
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
I live with my daddy house.
Nope.
You've been there?
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, my dad lives in my
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's just a great place to go with other kids and with other family members. And the more you look, the more you find. And same as when we pass these around, you'll see that there's all sorts of different fossils. And Mineral Wells Fossil Park is one piece at a time. This is when this was all underwater. This is 300 million years ago, which is hard to think about. But this is, if time is here we are now, you have all these different times going backwards, including when the dinosaurs were, and this is older than the dinosaurs, Mineral Wells Fossil Park is. So you'll find things from the bottom of the sea, not something on the land. Any other questions for me? Yes, ma'am.
How is it older?
How is it older? Because something came before something else, which came before something else, which came before something else. And so what happened is mammals are now, and then you go back before that, you've got some primitive reptiles, before that you've got some...
Yeah, we'll talk about
You'll
lead
talk about
time
that.
in a few minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
When my grandma and my mom and my nan, and me and my brother and my dad went to a lake, go fishing at a place, we found a lot of fossils and we slided on it, but the name was Nana Ranch.
Okay. Well, you can find fossils in lots of places. It just so happens that Mineral Wells Fossil Park is a special place that you can go, take friends and family, go to school, and it's a safe environment. Yes, ma'am.
I found some fossils in my backyard.
Okay, some of you will probably have stories to tell about fossils. Let's save all that to the end, and you can come up here so everybody can hear you. What we want now is questions while we're on a particular topic. So if you have a question and a story, save the stories for later and ask your questions now.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll let
Great, okay.
Fossil Bob talk.
Let's talk about fossils. What is a fossil? Yes,
A bone of a dinosaur from really
that is an
long ago.
example of a fossil. But things that used to be alive are fossils. Is an arrowhead a fossil? No. They used to call them fossils because 150 years ago a fossil was anything old you dig up out of the ground. But then the field of archaeology is separated from the field of paleontology, and so arrowheads, pottery shards, those are called artifacts now, and things that used to be alive, or any evidence of something that used to be alive, is a fossil. So when you go to Mineral Wells Fossil Park, one of the main things you find are crinoids, stems. Here's an example of one that's pretty big. Yes, you found some of these?
Yeah,
I'm going to pass this around
we have
so you get a closer look at it, and pass it to the next person, pass it behind, and there's a box right back there. When everybody's looked at it, just put it in that box. So that is the stem of a crinoid. A crinoid looks like this, the whole thing. So this is the stem part. There's a cup that has these plates, and the body of the animal is down inside of that cup. And then there are arms that come off the top that collect some tiny particles of food out of the water and direct them down into the mouth. So when it's got the arms on there, it kind of looks like a flower. And so the common name for this, does anybody know what these are commonly called? It's a crinoid, that's the scientific name. They call them sea lilies because it looks like a flower. I'm not going to pass this around, that's kind of delicate. But most of the rest of these fossils don't come from Mineral Wells Fossil Park. But here's some from Bridgeport, a town not far from here, that are similar to what's at Mineral Wells. So I'm going to pass this around. And you can see some crinoids and parts up here. There's some parts that go to a sea urchin that has spines, and there's some of the spines. And here's just some of the other examples of the kind of fossils you can find at Mineral Wells. Did you want to pass these around too?
Sure.
Yes. Now, if you go toward the Dallas-Fort Worth area, it's completely different fossils you'll find there, and they're much younger. They're only 100 million years old instead of 300 million years old. But you can find some very interesting things in that area. Around Dallas and Fort Worth, you find these. Does anybody know what this is called?
What's their grasshopper lady?
Nobody's got ammonite. It's called an ammonite. Let's pass this one around first. This is another kind of ammonite.
Not to be here.
Yeah.
Just one's good.
Okay. And ammonite kind of looks like a snail, doesn't it? If it was a snail, it would crawl along the seafloor like this, right? But these are related to snails, but these can swim. Ammonites can swim. Show you a part of an ammonite here. Oh wait, let me explain something else first. So the body inside of this shell would go from about here to about halfway around. It has tentacles like an octopus. They were related to octopus. Nobody's wondering what this is. I keep this covered up, mostly to keep the dust off. It's not scary or anything. But this is a fossil of an animal that, actually this is the only one, the fossil I have, that was an animal that was alive when people were here. All the rest of this stuff was before there were any humans. But this fossil here was alive when humans were alive. So imagine you are a caveman, and you walk out of your cave one morning, and you need to go get some fresh firewood for the campfire, and so you walk out of the cave. You accidentally leave your spear behind, and you come around a big tree, and you come face to face with an animal that had a skull that looked like that. Yeah. Who knows what that's called?
I know what it is, but I can't remember.
Is that a saber-tooth tiger?
Saber-toothed tiger, that's right. Except now they call it a saber-toothed cat because they weren't very closely related to cats. In fact, some researchers think they were closer to a bear. You ever heard that? Most of them still put them with the felines. But these were here up until about 11,000 years ago. So there were people here then. So look at those teeth. You got killing teeth. You got flesh-gnawing teeth. You got bone-breaking teeth inside. And so if it had an animal's leg and it needed to break the bone open, it had to get past these canine teeth. This jaw could open up 120 degrees. It could open up this far back to get something inside of here. This is just a plaster cast of a smilodon. It's a scientific name, smilodon, which sounds happy, but the species name is fatalis, which sounds kind of fatal. Smilodon fatalis. They find a lot of these in a place in California. If you ever get to Los Angeles area, you want to go to the Brea tar pits. They found thousands of these bones in there. We found some in Texas. There were some smilodon teeth found at the Waco Mammoth Pit. So, but they were here too. Smilodon fatalis. Yeah, you're really lucky to have that park here. There's not many places. There's a few other places in the country that have fossil parks. And there's another one near Ladonia, which is south of Paris, Texas, on the North Sulphur River, where they built a fossil park. They might make one in Sherman at that creek I was talking about with all of the shark teeth. But most places you go, you have to either get permission if it's on private land, or you have to be on public access, like a road cut or a lake. For a creek, you should ask permission. The place at Jacksboro, where I found a lot of this stuff, is on spillway for a lake, Lawrence Creek Lake, and it's privately owned, but the owner lets people go in there, and so you can find lots of fossils there. Special because of the diversity, there's something like 400, because so far we know there's 410 different species you can find at this one place. So that's pretty extraordinary. So Texas is a great place for hunting fossils. Many states don't have near as much variety or quantity of fossils to look for. Any more questions? Okay, well,
One other thing we can do today,
yeah.
normally when you're hunting for fossils, you're out in the sun, in the heat, and you have time schedule and stuff like that. The people with the library here in the city have been nice enough to bring us some dirt that came from Mineral Wells Fossil Park. So it's not something you normally get to do, but they get to do it. And what we've got is some of these tubs. And if you look through this dirt, it's called matrix. And it's shale is what Bob's telling us. And as you look, you can find fossils. And then the fossils are not very big. They're pretty small. But the more you look, the more you find. And whatever you find, you can keep. You know, so, but the nice thing is you get to do fossil hunting in air conditioning comfort. Normally you don't get to do that. You got to be outside sweating. You got flies, mosquitoes, whatever. But today only, you get to do it in air conditioning. With the staff at the museum, is this okay for us to be looking for fossils now?
Yes, we can go ahead.
Okay. So if you guys want to, try and keep all the stuff here, but you should be able to look in there, find a tub that's easy to get to for you, and then just look. And if you find something interesting, then pull it out. And if you're wondering what they look like, I can leave these out for you to be able to kind of say, oh, that's exactly what we're looking for. If you want to get your eyes adjusted to what you're looking for, then again, these are some ideas. And you may find these fossils, and you may find some other fossils, but just using those as examples. Okay, well y'all look and enjoy, and I wish I had some little plastic bags that you could put your fossils in. Because someone is smarter than me.
Buckets of fossils. Different kinds. We know they can be like this.
And if you guys have any questions, ask us. This is a little more so this may be less successful.